Hi, here we are again. This is the Grape Daily Library. Although we are not in the library today, we still have a sickness that is running its course in my household, and I don't really want to go upstairs where it is heavily influenced at the moment. So if you don't mind, I'm conducting my business in the parlor of the house, and I'm hoping very soon to get back up into the library. So what have we been working on? We have been working on a quite fun book. It is Where Are They Buried? And How Did They Die? Intriguing, isn't it? Quite. Quite. I don't know who's next in line. I'm just taking them as they come. And we're about to find out. I got to thinking, and a lot of you don't know who Tod Benoit is. I know who he is because I used to watch WWF back when I was a teenager, but a lot of you might not know who he is. So some parts of this book might have no bearing on you, while others you may not be able to inquire enough about. So with that said, let's get on with the getting on. Oh, today I am bringing you Muhammad Ali. Okay, so let's get to know his situation a little bit. January 17th, 1942, June 3rd, 2016. After his bicycle was stolen off a Louisville street, 12-year-old Cassius Clay Jr. began boxing in order to exact revenge on the thief. Though that day of retribution never materialized, 8 Golden Glove titles and an amateur record of 100-5 did. And in 1960, the talkative teenager returned from Rome an Olympic gold medalist, as well as a professional contender. Everything happens for a reason, huh? Vanquishing one opponent after another, and often even predicting in rhyming and comical verse how and when he'd send an opponent to the mat, boxing's new wonder boy soon developed a mass following. Courted by the most eminent promoters and agents, whom he quickly rejected, he found his direction in the Nation of Islam, a Muslim sect that rejected the pacifism of typical civil rights activism, and he secretly converted in 1963. After pummeling heavyweight champion Sonny Liston the following year, the vainglorious new champion renounced his Cassius Clay slave name and said he would be known from then on as Muhammad Ali. In rejecting his birth name and adopting a seemingly subversive one, Ali came to represent a new kind of athlete, someone who created his own style in defiance of past traditions. Seemingly overnight, he went from a bubbly, boyish champion with a gift of gab to a quasi-revolutionary. Nonetheless, casual and unpredictable, Ali was perfectly suited to television and became a talk show and sports program fixture. Despite the seeming contradiction of a boxer advocating nonviolence, in 1967, Ali refused military induction and was condemned as a draft dodger. Why should they ask me to put on a uniform and go 10,000 miles from home and drop bombs and bullets on brown people in Vietnam? after so-called Negro people in Louisville are treated like dogs and denied simple human rights? He asked. His boxing license and heavyweight crown stripped, convicted of draft evasion and sentenced to 5 years in prison, Ali still refused to serve and held firm to his principle of pacifism, maintaining that his Muslim beliefs forbade him from participating in the killing of others. His pronouncement outraged much of Middle America, but as the war dragged on and the cultures of youth and Black America surged, the national conscience stirred. Ultimately, the episode elevated Ali as an emblem of conscience and courage, though he never actually had to serve any prison time, as the conviction was reversed on appeal and his boxing license restored in 1970. Ali lost 3 years of his athletic prime. After 2 tune-up fights, the 29-year-old sought to regain his heavyweight title from the new champion, Joe Frazier, in a highly touted bout, guaranteeing each man at least $2.5 million, the highest payday for any athlete up to that time. Frazier won the match by unanimous decision, and Ali suffered his first professional defeat. Their slugfest ignited a decade-long golden era for heavyweight boxing. To the cadence of inimitable Howard Cosell commentary, Ali, Frazier, George Foreman, and Leon Spinks beat one another mercilessly in a series of celebrated international spectacles with names such as Rumble in the Jungle and Thrilla in Manila. Ali regained the title in 1974, lost, and then won it back again in 1978, and then finally, after losing the title yet again in 1980, he retired. Even before retirement, Ali was showing signs of slurred speech and general sluggishness. But in 1982, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a condition that slowly robbed him of both his verbal grace and his physical dexterity. As his health gradually declined, Ali threw himself into humanitarian work and was admired not just as a supreme athlete, but as a symbol of understanding and hope. With his push for philanthropic causes and incessant crisscrossing of the globe, whoever he met with, heads of state, royalty, or the Pope, agreed that Ali was always the most famous person in the room. Asked to share his personal philosophy near the end of his life, Ali's wife read what he'd written. "I never thought of the possibility of failing, only of the fame and glory I was going to get when I won. When I proclaimed that I was the greatest of all time, I believed in myself, and I still do." After being hospitalized for a respiratory illness, Ali died at 74 of septic shock due to unspecified natural causes and was buried at Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky. Grave directions: enter the cemetery at 701 Baxter Avenue and follow the green line that's painted in the road to Ali's grave. This next one is a short one, so I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to do a double today, only because I spied who was next, and I love this man. I love this man. I hope you do too. Andre the Giant. May 19th, 1946. January 27th, 1993. You know, you think they would have given him a little bit more of a write-up. Andrei Rene Rossimanoff of French heritage and better known as Andre the Giant, was a professional wrestler afflicted with a genetic disorder resulting in gigantism. In 1973, he made his American debut at Madison Square Garden and, proving fantastically successful, wrestled more than 300 days a year for the next 16 odd years, becoming one of the world's most famous professional athletes. Though he was advertised as a 7'4", he was probably just under 7 feet and tipped the scales at around 500 pounds. Andre's immense appetites for food and alcohol were legendary, and it was estimated he consumed 7,000 calories a day in alcohol alone. In 1987, he played Fezzik, the gentle giant in the movie The Princess Bride, a role for which he was suited in both dimension and disposition, and it remained one of his most cherished achievements. He carried a video of the film with him when he traveled and held frequent screenings. Unfortunately, as he grew older, his size caused him frequent health problems, and he became increasingly overweight and immobile. In Paris, Andre attended his father's funeral and the following day died of a heart attack in a room at the Hotel de la Tremouille, just 46. Wow, he was cremated and his ashes scattered at his horse ranch in Ellerbe, North Carolina. Teddy's here. He came to see me. Hold on. This is my Teddy. He came downstairs to see his mommy. Thank you, baby. Thank you. So that is it. That is my video for today. Until next time, I love you. Be well, be good, and I'll read to you this time. Bye-bye. Best dog in the world.